and call on Roger to continue the case of side opposition.
Thank you very much indeed, Emma, Madam Chairman. And I must say it's delightful to be back in a room at Manchester University, which I haven't visited since, so this makes me sound ancient, 1975, when I came here for an interview. I ended up going somewhere else. But it's delightful to be back in this great, radical, secular, 19th century Enlightenment institution. I'd just like to give you a bit of a curling left ball from left field to start with. Just think, while I'm talking about this great issue, think about what we have in common with the so-called Democratic People's Republic of Korea. And also the thing that makes us and them, somewhat of a laughingstock in the eyes of modern citizenry worldwide. What I'd like to do is set out things in three parts. Firstly, the defects of the hereditary principle, the effect on Great Britain and Northern Ireland that hereditary principle has, and thirdly, the future, the real existing models elsewhere in the world. But first, very quickly, I'd just like to say that the previous speaker, Scott Pepe, has completely missed the point about pointing to the drawbacks of a politicised executive presidency. This is not what Republic advocates. We advocate a non-executive presidency, that is, a president not involved in the day-to-day government of the country. So if going on about defect, well, you would, you're a conservative, you wouldn't like Obama, you would attack Obama and your fellow right-winger Sarkozy, but that is not on the table. This is not what we're advocating. When you mentioned Julia Gillard, I remembered her great speech, "You do not need a motion of this House, you need a mirror." Anyway, there we go. The hereditary principle, what's wrong with it? It negates meritocracy. Meritocracy, the government by those of ability, and the way that those of ability can get on. This is what this university is about. It was against the entrenched privilege of Oxford and Cambridge, which now are far more meritocratic than they used to be when this university was founded, but that is what this university was founded to do, to build meritocracy in this part of England. And that is what the hereditary principle negates. If you're going on holiday and you ask the pilot, how did you prepare for this flight, do you expect an answer like, well, my father was a great pilot and I sat in the cockpit once or twice and saw what he did, and I've been brought up for this role from birth. I've had no formal training, but I've been brought up from birth, and my father was a great pilot and his father was a great pilot before him. That is a hereditary principle, and it's a nonsense. Also, in Lancashire, there's a saying, clog to clog in 3 generations. The first generation might be great, the second generation might be okay, the third generation not so good. Think of the Kennedys, for example. It gives a message to people that it's not what you do that counts, but who your father was. And even if people in a position, through the hereditary principle, are good at what they do, I'm thinking of Anne and Zara in Equestrianism. They would be good anyway. Basic question that you have to be rich to be a good equestrian, but that's another matter. They would be good anyway. The hereditary principle is thoroughly bad. The effect on Great Britain and Northern Ireland. It's a divisive symbol. Ask anyone in the 6 counties of the north of Ireland. It's divisive. Divisive in Canada as well. You don't get too many monarchies in Quebec. The culture of deference to authority, forelock tongue, is harmful to enterprise and innovation. Why is it that this country produces such brilliant inventions, but we can't develop them practically? Because we do this culture that we have of deference to authority, deference to someone based on the landed wealth, not enterprise wealth. And the worst thing of the effect on Great Britain and Northern Ireland that it has is a royal prerogative. The present monarch is not someone who believes they have, maybe she does, but we don't know, a divine right to rule. She doesn't certainly try and rule in an absolutist way like Charles I did, but her absolutist powers are vested in the Prime Minister as a royal prerogative, without any democratic control or debate or scrutiny. He can commit our troops overseas without any reference to the Houses of Parliament. He can sign treaties with the EU. And only this week, at the moment, probably as we are speaking, the government, in secrecy with the press, is working on a royal charter to water down the effect of the Leveson report onto regulation of the press. And if you happen to see the Andrew Marr show last Sunday, you'll see how the parents of Madeleine McCann are very upset about that. And rightly so. The thing that we have in common, of course, with the so-called Democratic People's Republic of Korea is the hereditary principle. They have the Kims, we have the Windsors. There are really existing models elsewhere. There's the non-elected presidents, the indirectly elected presidents, where the parliament elects the president, India, the world's greatest democracy, Germany, the most powerful country in Europe, and there are those that Ray spoke about earlier, the directly elected ones, like the Irish, Portuguese, and so on. We're not dissing completely the executive presidencies, the business presidencies that the Americans and the French have, but we think there's a better way. But even an executive presidency is better than what we have. We need leadership. There's no leadership at the moment. We find people like the Archbishop of Canterbury or the Chief Rabbi speaking out on real matters of concern, like MPs' expenses or the child abuse scandal in the church, that sort of thing, when we need a head of state to be leading us in that way, in a non-party political way. So we need to have confidence in our wisdom, and we need to have confidence in our judgment, and we need to have confidence in our own ability to form our own future and our own governments. Republicans, our time will come.